Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. And get comfortable, we have a lot to talk about today. There's reserve list buyouts everywhere you look. Commander cards continue to spike. One thing we won't talk about in today's video, though, are the Double Master singles prices. I'm not going to work them into the video for another week or two. I want to wait until they start to find their price points. They're still really volatile right now, but there's a lot of other things to discuss, don't you worry. Quickly before we get into it, though, just a fast reminder, if you go down to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, they have restocked on Double Masters booster boxes. If you use the Heroes promo code, those go down to $297, and that does include shipping in the United States. They also added the Zendikar Rising products this week too, so if that's something you're interested in, you might want to check it out. You can get a box of set boosters there for $103.50 when you use the promo code, and again, that does include shipping in the States. And of course, whenever you use that code, it does support the channel, so thank you, and without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to begin, as we always do, with Standard in the top 8 Standard legal cards that have lost value this week, and Standard is still really weird right now because, of course, most people can't sit down and play it. And rotation is really right around the corner. Number 8 is Fiend Artisan. This goes down 66 cents to $12.40. This does see a little Pioneer play in Lurrus Sacrifice. In Commander, though, you'll find this in a lot of different builds. Marin, Nethroi, Muldrotha, Korvold, and more. Number 7 is Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, going down 77 cents to $46.88. This card, I think, will continue to go down just because it has a pretty high price point considering it is a Standard card. But it does see play in a lot of other places, too. You do want to remember that. Sultai Ramp, Temur Elementals, and more are places you'll find this in Standard, but it does see play in Pioneer, Modern, Legacy, and Commander, too. Number 6, Yurok the Desecrated, goes down 78 cents to $10. This doesn't see a whole lot of Standard play or anything, but this is a very popular Commander. The only reason I think it's going down this much this week is because it did spike last week, so I think you're just seeing some retraction. Number 5 is Steam Vents, the original from Guild Pact. It goes down 82 cents to $18.93. This card has been soft because there was one copy of the Guilds of Ravnica version in the Allied Fires 2020 Challenger deck. Now, these Shocklands will rotate out this fall if they're not reprinted in Zendikar Rising, which I don't really think they will be. But after that, they're going to continue to see play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander. And until then, you're still going to find them in Standard too. Number 4 is Breeding Pool from Ravnica Allegiance. It goes down 83 cents to $23.49. Here's another Shockland. This one is seeing play in the mana base of a lot of big builds right now in Standard. Sultai Ramp, Temur Adventures, Temur Elementals, Temur Flash, and more. Number 3 is Azusa Lost But Seeking. These cards have been losing value since this was reprinted in Core Set 2021. No surprise there. Champions of Kamigawa down $1 to $25.09. Masters 25 this week down $1.02 to $12.45. This doesn't see a lot of Standard play, but it is a great Modern card in Amulet Titan. Also, it's a highly played Commander card. It's even seeing more play in that format now in those Radha Heart of Kjell builds. Number 2 is Ugin the Spirit Dragon from Fate Reforged. It goes down $1.59 to $32.89, another card that was reprinted in Core Set 2021. You'll find this one in Sultai Ramp, Temur Elementals, and more. In Pioneer, it's in Lotus Combo. Modern, you'll find this in Tron builds, and it's another highly played Commander card. Number 1 is Teferi, Master of Time. It goes down $3.13 to $25, and this card had a pretty high price point going into the release season. Packs have been cracked. This card is circulating more and more, so the price has come down a lot. Also, too, maybe it wasn't as powerful as some people thought when they first saw the card previewed, but it is still seeing a lot of play. In Standard, it's in Sultai Ramp, Temur Midrange, Azorius Control, and more. It's even seeing a little bit of Legacy play right now. We'll have to see if that sticks. It also sees some Commander play in builds like Attract Separator's Voice, which of course just got reprinted in Double Masters. Alright, that brings us to the top 9 Standard legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 9 is Clothy's God of Destiny, up 38 cents to $10.48, and this is a card you'll find in Gruul Aggro and more in Standard, also in Pioneer it's in Naya Winota. Modern, this is in Gruul Midrange, and I do think that's the main reason this card's price point has been pushed as much as it has been recently. It's in other builds there too. Even see some Legacy play, and is a fairly popular Commander card. Not only is a Commander, but also shows up in a lot of builds too. Number 8 is a card you're not going to find in Core Set 2020 booster packs, but you can find 3 copies in the Ajani Inspiring Leader Planeswalker deck. Remember that. This is Twin Blade Paladin going up 42 cents to $6.86. And this has seen Commander play in builds like Helios Uncrowned and Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashval. Number 7 is a shock land going up in value. It is Blood Crypt from Dissension at 45 cents to $25.99. You'll find this one in Mardu, Winota, and more. Also, like all the shock lands, this sees play in Pioneer, Modern, and Commander 2. Number 6 is a card we saw earlier. It is Ugin the Spirit Dragon, but this time it is the Core Set 2021 copy. And this is kind of interesting. It tells us maybe where this card is going to start to even out when it comes to price. This copy goes up 46 cents to $27.69 this week. Number 5 is Elder Gargaroth. This goes up 47 cents to $9.29. Keep an eye on this card. It's a mythic and it does see a lot of play currently and could see more play in the future, perhaps post-rotation. Sometimes you'll find this in Mono Green Stompy, it's in Gruul Aggro, Temur Elementals, and more there. Also, Pioneer, this is in Mono Green Planeswalkers and other decks in that format. Commander, this is in builds like Radha, Heart of Kjell, and Naiath of the Dire Hunt, and others there too. Number 4, Idyllic Tutor for Morningtide. It goes up 49 cents to $10.49. This card has been soft ever since it was reprinted in Theros Beyond Death. This is good in enchantment-heavy commander builds, including Sisay Weatherlight Captain, which is very popular right now. A lot of players are using that as the commander to build an enchantment deck, including all those new shrines from Core Set 2021, as well as the older shrines too. Number 3 is Karn, the Great Creator, up 76 cents to $6.93. Sure, this is going to rotate out of standard pretty soon, but it never really saw a ton of standard play. It does see play in a lot of other places, though. As a matter of fact, it even got restricted in Vintage. So in Pioneer, you'll find this in Mono Green Planeswalkers, Modern, Tron builds, and more there. Legacy and Vintage, this will show up in a lot of different places as well. And even in Commander, this makes its way into builds like Breya, Urza, and more. Number 2, one more shock land, Sacred Foundry from Ravnica, City of Guilds. It goes up 84 cents to $17.57. In Standard, you'll find this one in Mardu Winota, Mardu Knights, and more. Number 1 is the Great Henge, going up 85 cents to $27.99. You'll find this one in Mono Green Stompy, Adventure builds, and more in Standard. Also, it's in a number of Mono Green Pioneer decks, and it is seeing a lot of Commander play right now. Alright, time for Pioneer, and your top 6 Pioneer legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 6 is Darksteel Forge from Magic 2014. It goes down 98 cents to $17.88. This was recently reprinted in Double Masters, which is why it is soft. It does see a lot of Commander play, though, in a number of builds, including the recently reprinted Breya Ethereum Shaper. Also, this shows up in Urza Lord High Artificer builds, and more. Number 5, Archangel of Thune from Magic 2014 goes down $1.10 to $22.85. This was also reprinted in Double Masters. And it does see Commander play in Kaalia of the Vast builds and other places too, but remember, Kaalia was also reprinted in Double Masters. Number 4 is Waste Not from Commander 2016, down $1.15 to $12.95. This card got really hot recently as a lot of players were trying to build Commander decks around Tiny Bones Trinket Thief. Now the card is finally starting to retract after some pretty big recent inflation. Number 3, the Scarab God from Hour of Devastation. It goes down $1.39 to $24.32. And this was also reprinted in Double Masters. You'll find this one in Niv to Light sideboards. It's also a very popular commander and was actually even a commander on the latest episode of Game Nights. Number 2 is another big commander card, Cyclonic Rift. Now sure, this does see a little bit of play in Modern sometimes, but most people know this is a big commander staple. This is the copy from Return to Ravnica, going down $1.54 to $29. And of course, the reason this card has been soft recently is because of the reprinting in Double Masters. Number 1 is Elenda the Duskgrows, down $1.80 to $21.81. Another card that was popular recently, retracting a little bit now. It spiked after the announcement was made that they were changing the death trigger rule for commanders in Commander, making this card a little bit better. It is a fairly popular commander, also sees play in builds like Edgar Markov and Teysa Karlov. Alright, on to your top 8 Pioneer legal cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 8 is Omniscience from Magic 2019. It goes up 70 cents to $16.69. You'll find this one in Lotus combo sideboards, but this is probably better known as a Legacy card. This is in Legacy, Omnitel, and more. Also does get its fair share of Commander play too. Number 7, Colonian Hydra from Magic 2014. It goes up 71 cents to $16.79, and this isn't much of a Pioneer card, but it has seen increased Commander play in Zexara the Exemplary builds recently. Number 6 is Hellkite Tyrant from Commander 2016. It goes up 72 cents to $12.45. Very solid Commander card. Many times you'll find this one in a number of decks that had their Commander reprinted recently. Kaalia of the Vast, Breya Ethereum Shaper, the Dragon, plus it shows up in a lot of other places too. Number 5, and as you can see, Commander is still driving the price increases more than any other format right now. This is Garrick Apex Predator from Magic 2015. It goes up 77 cents to 13.13. Many times you'll find this in Atraxa Praetor's voice builds in Commander, and of course that was reprinted in Double Masters. Number 4, the Immortal Sun. This goes up 95 cents to 21.98, mostly a card that sees Commander play, but it is very solid in a number of different builds there. Number 3 is Door of Destinies. This is the one from Commander 2017, going up $1.11 this week to $12.77. This is great for tribal Commander builds, and it's seeing more play right now in decks like Rin and Siri Inseparable. Number 2 is Crucible of Worlds. Fifth Dawn goes up 75 cents to $29.93. 10th edition up $1.26 to $33. This does see some Modern, Legacy, and Vintage play still, but not as much as it did maybe a number of months ago. It is still a highly played Commander card though in Lands builds and other places too. Number 1 is a card that actually does see Pioneer play. It is Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. It goes up $1.27 to $47.28. You'll find this one in Mono Green Planeswalkers and more in Pioneer. Modern, this is in Tron builds. Legacy, Mono Green Cloudpost, and it does see a lot of Commander play too. And that does bring us to Modern, and the top 6 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Number 6 is Send Triplets, down $2.27 to $27.05, and the reason this card has been soft is because it was reprinted recently, surprise, surprise, this time in foil and WPN Mystery Boosters. However, this is still a very popular Commander. Number 5 is Sliver Legion, down $2.80 to $99.99. This card goes up one week, down another week, but it seems to hover around that $100 price point. This week it happens to retract some. Commander Sliver builds have been very popular ever since the reprinting of Sliver Hivelord and Sliver Overlord. Number 4 is Skithiryx, the Blight Dragon from Scars of Mirrodin. It goes down $2.85 to $38.56. And another card here that is going down because it was recently reprinted. This one was in Double Masters. It is a very popular Commander card though, and builds like Atraxa, the Dragon, Kalia of the Vast. All of those also reprinted not too long ago. And this also has seen some increased play in Commander in some of the Mutate builds because this is an awesome target for Mutate. Number 3 is a enemy fetch land. It is Misty Rainforest from Zendikar. It goes down $3.75 to $80.85. Overall, these enemy fetches have been pretty soft recently. We have the Secret Lair Ultimate Edition come out. Even though those copies are hard to find still, they were very expensive and very limited. But beyond that, the Summer Secret Lair bundle should be shipping pretty soon. And anyone who bought a bundle is going to get one of the enemy fetches with their bundle. That's going to add a lot more to the marketplace. And then Wizards also promised that they're going to have another product this year, if it doesn't get delayed, I suppose, that is going to go to game stores. It's not going to be a standard product, but it is going to contain fetches. So potentially the market could be seeing a lot more of these cards in the future. Now, obviously, they're all fantastic cards that are all going to see play anywhere where they're legal. Number 2 is a highly played Commander board sweep that was reprinted in Double Masters. It is Wrath of God. 9th edition goes down $1.91 to $17.15. That was kind of weird if you've been following that card. It kind of dried up in the marketplace, went up a little bit, even as Double Masters was releasing. Now it feels like it's starting to normalize. And Unlimited also happened to go down this week, $5.55 to $58.63. Number 1 is Reflecting Pool from Tempest. Now there's another copy of this card going up later in the video. It's a highly played Commander mana-based card, but this particular copy started to inflate pretty aggressively recently. So now you're seeing some retraction. It goes down $6.79 to $28.21. Time for the top 6 modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 6 is Kozilek, Butcher of Truth from Modern Masters 2015. It goes up $2.86 to $54.95. Many times you'll find this one in Legacy Mono Green Cloudpost, but more typically you'll see this on the Commander table. This is found in Kozilek the Great Distortion builds and has seen increased play in those Kinnan Bonder Prodigy decks too. Number 5, Extra Planar Lens. This goes up $3.74 to $40, and this has seen some additional Commander play in some monocolor builds like Tiny Bones, Zerzoth Chaos Rider, Bruvac the Grandiloquent. This is also fun to play with snow-covered lands in Commander. Number 4 is Sword of Feast and Famine. Mirrodin Besiege goes up $1.33 to $58.02. The Modern Event Deck copy up $4.02 to $62.60. What's weird about this is this card was just reprinted in Double Masters. However, there was also another card that this does see a lot of play with that was reprinted in Double Masters, and of course that's Stoneforge Mystic. It sees Modern play with that card, it sees Legacy play with that card, and this is also a highly played Commander card. I would expect it to stabilize pretty quickly though, considering a lot of packs of Double Masters are currently being opened. Number 3 is Training Grounds, and I'll tell you right now, I think our top 3 cards are all moving mostly because they didn't show up in Double Masters, and they're all cards that some players thought might be there. And because they weren't in the set, I think you're getting a little bit of pent-up buying where people were waiting to see if they're going to show up. And once they didn't, they went ahead and pulled the trigger. So this is the first example of that. This goes up $4.38 to $45. And of course, this is a highly played commander card. Sees play in sliver builds, but it has seen more play recently in those Kenrith the Return King decks. Number 2, Cavern of Souls, Evison Restored up $1.41 to $79.14. Ultimate Masters goes up $7.72 to $82.72. Now, this does see a lot of modern play. Eldrazi Tron, Goblins, Amulet Titan, Humans, and more. Also sees play in Legacy, Vintage, and of course, Commander 2. And number 1 is Gemstone Caverns. It goes up $9.34 to $53. Also sees modern play in Mono Blue Tron and other places. It's also a solid card in some Commander builds, like Tiny Bones, for example. It has shown up in a lot of those. Are you ready for some buyouts? Well, you came to the right place. Welcome to the Vintage Spotlight. And if you've been paying any attention to the secondary market recently, you know what we're going to be talking about here. There are buyouts happening everywhere. Cheap reserve list cards, expensive reserve list cards, old cards that aren't even on the reserve list. So we're going to dig into it all right now. In this section today, instead of telling you if a card is on the reserve list, I'm just going to tell you if it's not because it's a lot easier that way. Okay, first card not on the reserve list is Sensei's Divining Top. Of course, this is the copy from Champions of Kamigawa. It goes up $2.98 to $50. This isn't one of those buyouts, obviously. But this is a highly played commander card that is in a lot of different builds. It's especially good in Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow decks. And of course, that got reprinted in Mystery Boosters. This also sees vintage play as well. Another card not on the reserve list, okay. Allosaurus Shepherd. This is from Jumpstart, a new one. It goes up $3.10 to $80.10. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there are some shipping issues and production issues right now with Jumpstart. But eventually, when those cards get out in the marketplace, this will come down. It does see Legacy play already, though, in Legacy Elves. It's also seeing a fair amount of Commander play, too. Okay, Retrofitter Foundry, another card not on the reserve list. This doesn't feel so bad yet, right? It goes up $3.97 to $22, and this is another card that sees play in Legacy, this time the Ninja deck, and that has been doing really well on Magic the Gathering Online. It sees Commander play, too, in Brutaclad Telcore Engineer, for example, and of course, that was reprinted in Double Masters. Grim Monolith goes up $4 to $220.43. That's not so bad. Okay, $4. Very expensive card, though. Mono Green Cloudpost X and Legacy will play this. Also, it does see a lot of Commander play. Okay, the first of a number of revised dual lands that we're going to see today is Taiga, going up $4.10 to $224.99. These are definitely gaining a lot of attention, some buyout attention, although this one feels like it's more natural movement this week. Also, too, a lot of people have been asking me recently about picking up revised dual lands. I do think that they are going to have their ups and downs, but ultimately, as time goes on, they're only going to get more expensive. And not to plug the promo code again, but seriously, they do have some on FlipsideGaming.com. And if you use the Heroes promo code, you do get the 10% off. It's also free shipping in the United States, so something to think about. Last I looked, they had like 2 tropical islands, 2 tundras, and a plateau. So if anyone's looking, that's a heads up for you. Tolarian Academy is next. It goes up $4.69 to $103.94. And this is banned in Commander. It's restricted in Vintage, but still sees a fair amount of play there. Mana Drain. This is not on the reserve list and also did not show up in Double Masters. I think a lot of people were waiting for this one to pop up and it didn't. This is the copy from Iconic Masters. It goes up $5.13 to $153.63. Of course, this is a great Commander card, great Vintage card as well. Yawgmoth's Whale. This did get one more printing as a Judge foil. It goes up $6.16 to $142. This does see Vintage play, Commander play as well, and has seen increased play in Tiny Bones builds. Sneak Attack from Urza Saga. This is not on the reserve list. In fact, it was reprinted in Double Masters, still going up $6.39 to $33.47 this week. You'll find this one in Legacy Sneak and Show, and of course it does see Commander play in Kali of the Vast builds and more. Okay, Pendril Mist is a very good example of a card that doesn't see a whole lot of play anywhere. But obviously somebody's buying the card. It looks like it is a buyout, going up $7.85 to $17.87. Good old Gilded Drake is back. It goes up $8.21 to $277.45. I can't believe how expensive this card got. You'll find this one in Legacy Esper Vial. Also in Commander, this is in a lot of builds, especially the competitive decks out there. Vampiric Tutor, not on the reserve list, but I think this is another card that some people were holding out to buy to see if it was going to be in Double Masters. Visions goes up $1.73 to $101.72. Eternal Masters up $8.27 to $126.83. Of course, this is a tutor, so you know it's going to see Commander play, especially in competitive decks. Happens to be in black, so also probably seeing more play in Tiny Bones builds, and it's a good Vintage card too. Savannah, another revised dual land. It goes up $9.88 to $236.24. Fast Bond revised up $1.50 to $17.34. Unlimited up $10.15 to $75.28. This was seeing some vintage play, but not really all that much anymore. It is banned in Commander, but it does look like it might be drying up a little bit this week online. Academy Rector. Now this does see play in Legacy Rector Fit, also Commander play too. It goes up $11.17 to $72.45. Stormworld is next, and now we're getting into the section where you're going to see a lot of the targeted buyouts. This goes up $12.33 to $48.60. Mana Crypt, this one isn't on the reserve list. It got reprinted in Mystery Boosters. It got reprinted in Double Masters, but these copies of the card don't seem to care. Eternal Masters goes up $6.13 to $144.38. The original book giveaway promo goes up $12.50 to $400. This sees vintage and Commander play, especially in those competitive decks again in Commander. Survival of the Fittest from Exodus. This does have a Judge Foil printing again before they close the loophole on the reserve list. It goes up $13.60 this week to $198.99. This card does see vintage play and also some increased Commander play recently in Cathril Aspect Warper builds. Mana Matrix goes up $14.29 to $50.73. Helm of Obedience goes up $15.37 to $45.02. Now this one does see some Legacy and Commander play. Ragnar goes up $18.92 to $42.94. Lion's Eye Diamond goes up $19.50 to $320. This does see Legacy, Vintage, and Commander play. It combos with Underworld Breach, Wheel of Fortune, and Thassa's Oracle. Tithe is next. It does see some Commander play, but again, this feels like a buyout. It goes up $19.92 to $39.89. Power Leech up $22.74 to $51.99. Bad Moon, not on the reserve list. This is the copy from Unlimited. It goes up $23.45 to $65.44. Wheel of Fortune from Revised up $28 to $248. Again, there's a Judge Foil of this card out there as well. This sees vintage play and it sees Commander play, again, especially in those competitive decks. It has seen increased play actually in Commander recently around some newer cards. Builds like Zera's The Writhing Storm, Rael the Everwise, Brawlin and Shabraz. And this is part of the combo I mentioned a moment ago with Lion's Eye Diamond. Bayou from Revised, it goes up $28.43 to $415.79. Hezazan Tamar up $29.91 to $175.10. Nicol Bolas, not on the reserve list, but this is the original copy from Legends. It goes up $29.99 to $149.99. Cabal Ghoul, this goes up $33.74 to $102.99. In the Eye of Chaos, up $37.47 to $185.52. Tundra from Revised, up $41.39 to $329.99. Telekinesis, up $42.49 to $83.31. See what's going on here? Divine Intervention, up $45.51 to $125. Tropical Island from Revised, up $52.48 to $472.49. Gate to Phyrexia goes up $53.53 to $106.78. Mox Diamond from Stronghold. One more printing of this and From the Vault Relics as a foil, which we're going to talk about a little later in the video. It goes up $71.22 to $489.95. And this is in Legacy Lands, 4-color Loam, and more. It's also a highly played Commander card, another good card for competitive Commander. Field of Dreams up $85.89 to $169.96. Gravity Sphere up $88.25 to $145.99. Tetsuo Umezawa, this goes up $113.74 to $309.49. Pixie Queen up $122.10 to $144.90. Golgothian Silex goes up $165.76 to $183.34. This one was mentioned on a video by Alpha Investments though, which could have brought some attention to it. The last card we're going to bother talking about in this section is Gaia's Cradle from Urza's Saga. It did get one more printing as a Judge Foil, but this copy goes up $338.87 this week to $998.95. So that's quite a jump. What's happening with this card? Well, for a while, there were not a lot of high-grade copies in the marketplace, which made this card look a little less valuable than it was. So I do think behind the scenes, it was kind of climbing for a little while and nobody noticed it. Then all of a sudden, there were some sales on eBay where cards were going for $800 to $900 as lightly played. And then people decided to throw some copies up on TCG Player. And then you get this sticker shock happening here. Now, with that being said, some of the copies up there on TCG Player are a little higher than they really probably should be, but that's normal. People will sometimes put cards up at a higher price looking for an offer. With that being said, that did push the price of this a little bit higher than it really should be. Again, there's not a lot of sales, so these big websites have to fall back to what people are asking sometimes. In this case, $800 to $900 is probably what you'd pay for a lightly played copy as opposed to the $1,000 you see here. But still, the card is going up in value regardless. Now, the Judge foil this week is the target of some really extensive market manipulation. So if you looked at that price and saw it went up over $1,000 in 24 hours, that's not quite true. But of course, I do feel like that card's going to be going up some too. Another example of intense manipulation this week is Elephant Graveyard. The price was manipulated to make it look like it jumped over $1,000 in a day. Ultimately, there's a lot of buyouts going on. There's a lot of market manipulation. If you're thinking about buying a card, the best thing you can do is go over to eBay, look at sold and completed listings. That gives you a really good idea of what's truly happening with card prices and card purchases. And I think in some cases, these buyouts are occurring almost naturally. A small group of people are just at the point where they're saying, let me pick up some of these cards because they're only going to get more expensive. That fear of missing out starts kicking in. So it doesn't take too many targeted buyouts to create that panic. Now, there are so many buyouts, I kind of wonder if it's a small group of people or maybe some stores doing this because it is quite extensive. But there you go. Let's move on to everybody's favorite section, the Commander Spotlight. A lot of cards to talk about, so let's get going. Tarnished Citadel, it goes up $1.01 to $23.89. This does see a fair amount of Commander play. Gift of Estates, this is the copy from Portal. It goes up $1.03 to $5.09. For the most part, this does see some Commander play in various builds, but I think the Portal copy is just drying up a little bit online this week. Mirari's Wake, the one from Conspiracy, up $1.06 to $23.50. This is a highly played Commander card, seeing additional play right now in Rin and Ciri Inseparable. Ancient Tomb from Ultimate Masters goes up $1.11 to $44. Another highly played card in Commander, also sees Legacy and Vintage play. Synapse Sliver, great sliver for those sliver decks. It goes up $1.14 to $17.45. Darksteel Plate from Mirrodin Besieged. It goes up $1.15 to $12.91. And this does see Commander play in Sir Gwen, Hero of Ashvale, Talia of the Vast, and more. Treachery on the reserve list. You're going to see more reserve list cards in this section too. This goes up $1.15 to $59, and it does see some Commander play. Field of the Dead goes up $1.17 to $9.18. This is actually banned in Standard and Pioneer, but you will find this in Modern, Europiles builds, Amulet Titan, and more. Also sees Legacy play, but it is a highly played Commander card, especially in lands builds like Golos, for example. Ruby Medallion, this cycle is great in Commander, and this particular card is seeing more play now in some newer builds. Those include Zir's Oath Chaos Rider, Muxus Goblin Grandee. Also remember, Krenko Mob Boss was reprinted not too long ago in Jumpstart. Tempest goes up $1.09 to $20.22. Commander Anthology Volume 2 goes up $1.17 to $18.23. Karn Liberated from Ultimate Masters up $1.18 to $39.99. This was just reprinted in Double Masters, still going up a little bit though. Commander, this sees play in Kozilek the Great Distortion builds, Atraxa, and more. Also in Modern, of course, you'll find this in Tron builds. Soul Ring from Revise going up $1.22 to $14.28. Even though this has been reprinted many times, it's a highly played Commander card, also sees Vintage play. Painful Quandary up $1.26 to $12.75, seeing increased play in Tiny Bones. Pact of Negation up $1.29 to $33.58. This is from Future Sight. And this one's a little weird because we know it's going to be reprinted in Zendikar Rising set boosters as part of that subset. But this original copy's still going up. Modern, you'll find this in Ad Nauseam and more. But in Commander now, it's showing up in multiple builds, especially competitive decks. Null Rod on the reserve list, it goes up $1.29 to $71.14. You'll find this one in Legacy Delver builds and more there. In Vintage, it's in Golos stacks, Ravager shops, and more. And it does see some Commander play as well. Lotus Veil on the reserve list goes up $1.31 to $24, and this does see Commander play in a few different builds. Aphiomancer, seeing some increased play in Commander in Kel's Fight Fixer and Vito Thorn of the Duskrose decks. It goes up $1.32 to $16.95. Keep an eye on these Allied Pain lands. They have been hot recently and basically only see play in Commander. This one's Underground River, 6th edition up $1.21 to $6.40, 5th edition up $1.35 to $8.60. Maze of Ith, the original copy from the Dark up $1.37 to $27.59. This was reprinted in Double Masters, and this does see play in various Commander and Legacy decks. As promised, here's Reflecting Pool from Shadowmoor. It goes up $1.45 to $23.08. Mikaeus the Unhallowed from Dark Ascension up $1.49 to $34.87. And this is a popular card in Commander, many times found in the recently reprinted The Scarab God builds. Furnace of Wrath from 8th edition up $1.50 to $6.49. This has seen increased play in Obosh the Prey Piercer and Zerzoth Chaos Rider decks. Argothian Enchantress, this is the one from Urza's Saga, up $1.50 to $28.50. Another card that's showing up in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain builds around the Core Set 2021 shrines. Static Orb from Tempest up $1.51 to $18.50, and this does see Commander play many times in Urza builds. Oracle of Moldaya, now this was reprinted in Jumpstart, but this original Zendikar copy is moving up again. It goes up $1.53 to $39.61. Highly played Commander card in lands builds and more, and it actually might get better when Zendikar Rising comes out too. Another Ally Pain land here with Edikar Waste. This is the one from 10th edition, going up $1.64 to $15. Craterhoof Behemoth from Abyss and Restored up $1.64 to $47.62. This was also reprinted in Jumpstart. You'll find this one in Legacy Elves, but it sees a lot of Commander play. Many times this is in Reese the Redeem builds, and of course that got reprinted in Mystery Boosters as well as Double Masters. Also, this has seen increased play in Kinnan Bonder Prodigy and Xera's the Writhing Storm. Tooth and Nail from Eridan up $1.80 to $21.92. Sees play in a lot of different places, but a couple decks jump to mind where the Commander was recently reprinted. Selvala Heart of the Wilds and Azusa Lost But Seeking. Season Pyromancer up $1.82 to $24. Now sure, probably the card's price point is being pushed mostly by Modern. This is in Grill midrange and more there. Additionally though, does see Commander play in Winona Joiner of Forces and Sabira Tilzidi Caravaner, for example. Nature's Will up $1.86 to $22.81. Found many times in Nijila the Blade Blossom decks. Snapcaster Mage, the one for Modern Masters 2017, goes up $1.86 to $44.97. Another card that did not show up in Double Masters moving up this week. And this does see play in a lot of different Commander builds, again, especially the competitive ones. It has seen increased play in Calamax the Stormsire decks recently too. And of course, this does see Modern Legacy and Vintage play as well. Grave Pact, 9th edition up $1.20 to $21.57. Plane Chase up $1.88 to $22.49. This sees a lot of Commander play in builds like Teysa Karlov, for example. This got better recently too with the rules change around the Commander death trigger. Omnith Locus of Mana from Worldwake up $1.91 to $26.54, and this is a very popular Commander that has been creeping up. Force of Negation goes up $2 to $46.12, and sure, another card that you might think of Modern, Legacy, or Vintage when you first see this card, but it has been seeing more Commander play in a lot of different decks, again, especially in competitive decks. Dream Halls on the reserve list goes up $2.02 to $26.96. This does see a little Commander play, but I think this is another reserve list card that's just drying up online. Balefire Dragon from Innistrad, it goes up $2.04 to $17.04. Now this is found in decks where the Commander has been reprinted recently, like Kali of the Vast, the Ur-Dragon, and Xenagos God of Revels. Sylvan Library, 5th edition up $1.94 to $63.59. Legends up $2.13 to $125. Sees Legacy and Vintage play, but also a highly played Commander card. Winding Canyons on the reserve list. This sees a little Commander play, but again, another reserve list card that I think is drying up online. It goes up $2.17 to $21.83. Bribery from Mercadian Masks. It goes up $2.40 to $26.55. This original copy's been hot. It does see play in Send Triplets builds, and like we said earlier, that was recently reprinted. Corpse Dance on the reserve list goes up $2.42 to $13.90. Good reanimation spell for Commander and also for Cube. It is an instant, so it does work with things like Kozilek Butcher of Truth, for example. Pathbreaker Ibex, this is from Commander 2015. It goes up $2.46 to $14.49. This sees Commander play in a variety of different builds. Ancestral Knowledge, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $2.55 to $19.99. Another card that does see some Commander play, but again, I think it's the availability of the card that's moving the price more than anything right now. City of Brass, the 7th edition copy up $2.10 to $20.27. The Modern Event Deck copy up $2.56 to $19.75. This is a highly played Commander mana-based card. Also sees play in Modern Dredge and Nauseam, also Legacy Dredge. Hall of Gemstone, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $2.58 to $18.88. And this does get a little Commander play sometimes in mono green builds. Demonic Tutor, another good tutor for those Commander decks like Tiny Bones. A lot of different competitive decks are running this. Also a good vintage card. This was recently reprinted in Mystery Boosters, but there's still a lot of copies going up in value. Revised up $1.19 to $41.19. Unlimited up $1.52 to $70.19. And the Dual Decks Anthology copy up $2.59 to $43.53. Squandered Resources on the reserve list, but can be found in Commander Lands builds. It goes up $2.64 to $29.95. Vedalken Orrery, the one from 5th Dawn, goes up $2.64 to $38.04. Highly played Commander card in a lot of different decks. Consecrated Sphinx, the one from Iconic Masters, up $2.66 to $34.94. Highly played Commander card. Again, sees a lot of competitive play. It's even seen increased play recently in a number of newer builds. Kinnan Bonder Prodigy, Ineaz the Galforce, Bruvak the Grandiloquent, and others. Also found in decks built around recently reprinted cards like Breya Ethereum Shaper and the Locust God. Primal Vigor goes up 267 to 3770, and this has seen increased play recently in builds like Cesareo the Exemplary and Rin and Ciri Inseparable. Also, too, remember Reese the Redeemed was reprinted twice recently in Mystery Boosters and Double Masters, and this shows up in those decks a lot of the time, too. Chrome Mox, the one from Eternal Masters, up 268 to 6888, reprinted in Double Masters, but this copy is still going up. Highly played commander card in many builds, including some of the competitive ones again. Also sees play in Legacy and Vintage, too. Withering Boon goes up 284 to 523. This has seen increased play in those Commander Tiny Bones builds. Lake of the Dead on the reserve list, it goes up 314 to 74.99, another card that shows up many times in Tiny Bones. Enchantress's Presence, the one from Onslaught, it goes up 331 to $10.21, and another card that is in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks. Land Tax, it's almost like this card wasn't even reprinted in Double Masters, but it was. Battle Royale goes up $336 to $45, 4th edition up $339 to $37.95. Fantastic card in white for Commander. Enlightened Tutor, highly played Commander card, again seeing some increased play in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain builds. Also many times in the Brea decks too. 6th edition goes up $1.86 to $36.25. Eternal Masters up $342 to $47.93. Goblin Wizard, this is on the reserve list. It does show up in some Goblin builds here or there. It goes up $392 to $29.97. Volrath Stronghold, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $425 to $89.24. This is good in Kali of the Vast decks. Also has seen increased play in Tiny Bones builds. Mana Web on the reserve list. It goes up $447 to $14.99. And again, another card that does see a little commander play, but probably it's going up more because it's just drying up online. Replenish on the reserve list goes up $455 to $67.44. Another card that is seeing play in those Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks. Conqueror's Flail goes up $462 to $19.98. This is a solid commander card in a lot of aggressive decks. Eladamri, Lord of Leaves on the reserve list goes up $478 to $24.93. Sees a little commander play, but yet again, I think this is another card that's just drying up online. Opalescence on the reserve list up $540 to $15.72, sometimes found in enchantment heavy builds. Cruel Tutor, not as good as some of the other tutors we've been seeing today, but it is a card that has dried up over the years. It goes up $567 this week to $60.29, and I'm sure people are putting this in Tiny Bones builds here or there. Sliver Queen, this is the Sliver Lord that's on the reserve list. It goes up $706 to $214.99. Now this one's just a really popular commander from Commander 2015. This is Karlov of the Ghost Council. It goes up $790 to $29.99. Tainted Pact goes up $809 to $70. This card has been pretty hot this year. It has been seeing a lot of play in different competitive builds in Commander. Hatred, this is on the reserve list. It goes up $828 to $46. And this is great in Skithiryx the Blight Dragon decks. And of course, that just got reprinted in Double Masters. Emil the Blessed, this is in Jumpstart. So again, it's a little inflated due to some of the supply issues. But it is a very popular commander. It goes up $873 to $43.49. Earthcraft on the reserve list up $939 to $95.49 this week. This does see play in Reese the Redeemed builds and also has seen increased play recently in Xera's the Writhing Storm decks too. Mind Over Matter on the reserve list does see some commander play in a few builds. It goes up $12.25 to $39.99. Humility on the reserve list goes up $21.74 to $49.99 this week. Again, it sees a little commander play, but I feel like we have another card here that is drying up in the secondary market. Metalworker, this is on the reserve list, but it actually is pretty good in some different commander builds. This goes up $22.97 to $104.25. You'll find this one in Urza Lord High Artificer, Kozilek the Great Distortion, and the newly reprinted Joyro Weatherlight Captain, and other places too. Memory Jar on the reserve list, but it did get one more printing as a foil in From the Vault Relics. We're going to talk about that card too in a little bit. This one though goes up $23.12 to $45. This has seen increased commander play recently in Xera's the Writhing Storm decks. Undiscovered Paradise on the reserve list. This one is really starting to spike. It goes up $37.23 to $55.96. Now this has seen a little commander play recently in a land combo build. Maelstrom Wanderer is the commander, and then the deck only has two other cards that aren't lands. Jace Wielder of Mysteries and Mana Severance. Also, this is good with landfall abilities, which maybe will come back in Zendikar Rising. And that brings us to the premium spotlight. Like I said earlier in the video, there's a lot of market manipulation going around right now, especially when it comes to rare cards. Those are easy to manipulate in the secondary market. So be careful. If you see a card going up more than $1,000 in like 24 hours, something's probably not right. Even several $100s in 24 hours, typically something is not right. So just remember that. But I did pick 2 cards today that I wanted to spotlight. I teased them earlier in the video. So to stick to today's theme, they are reserve list cards that happen to see one more printing in front of the Vault Relics. The first one is Mox Diamond. It goes up 23.63 this week to 4.47. And the second one is Memory Jar, going up 34.82 to 63.99. All right, that does it for this week's Market Watch. Like I've been saying, just be careful if you want to buy something right now. There's so much turbulence in the market. Just look very closely at what cards are truly selling for. And as always, just do your research, as you should be doing anyway. Until next time, though, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.